Hello and welcome to the training, How to Install Spinal Hygiene into Your Office, Turning a Great Idea into a Consistent System. See, the problem why most doctors don't implement spinal hygiene in their office is really not because they don't love the concept or agree with it or even intend to use it. It's because it never really becomes part of their system. There's no clear starting point that they have, or maybe there's too many options. They don't have somebody in their team who takes ownership over it. And then we don't create consistency, which consistency is the amplifier. Consistency is the one thing that matters the most, especially when it comes to spinal hygiene. We teach our patients that you're consistent with brushing your teeth. Like if you weren't consistent with brushing your teeth, then it really wouldn't make a big difference, right? And so we have to be consistent with putting it into our practices. And here's the rule of implementation I want us to go by. You don't need a perfect system. You need a simple system that actually works and actually runs. So where does spinal hygiene fit in your systems or your processes? Well, you have a couple of entry points that you can put in. Um, Number one, day three. This is what we call day three. Day one is your exam. Day two is your report of findings, right? Day three is after they said yes to care. They're coming in for their first full visit after you've presented them with the financials and after they signed up. So day three really is a great place to implement it into your system and your processes. If you're doing workshops, like new patient orientation workshops or any other kind of workshop, it's a great way to get them to come to the workshop. That's why I say that this is an option. We can say you've got your spinal hygiene kit right here. You're going to learn about it at the workshop. We'll see you there. And then maybe there's for some patients who especially maybe they come in really, really hot, like hot low back. They can't even hardly move. You don't want them doing the spinal hygiene exercises yet. Maybe we get a few visits in or get up to their re-exam before we give them their spinal hygiene exercise. That's fine too. Most of the time, though, it's either going to be day three or at your workshop. The biggest mistake that I see doctors make is that they're trying to just throw spinal hygiene in anywhere. They're teaching it every once in a while, or they're asking, even worse, they're asking the patient if they would like to buy a spinal hygiene kit, right? So we want to make sure that we build it into our system so there's not overwhelm for our team, so we don't have a lack of consistency. We've got to have a system ingrained in our office, in our processes to make this work. So, excuse me. So the recommended starting point is the day three system. Why? Because patients are already committed. They say, yes, I believe you. I believe you can help me. They're excited about getting going. You're not going to find a more exciting point in their care plan really than their day three. They're like, yes, I'm on this journey. I've invested money. I'm ready to go. Now you're teaching them how they're going to be able to do it for a lifetime. They're going to maintain all the results that they're getting in your office. Plus, there's just less overwhelm for you and your team because you know it's going to be on day three when patients come in. We even have a separate color for our day three visits and on our schedule so that the whole team knows that's a day three. We know exactly what a day three gets. We can pay better attention. We can create habits for our patients and habits for us. That's what a system does. So what exactly happens on day three? This is, again, their first full visit to the office after they said yes to care, after they've paid, something to get started in their care plan. It's their first routine experience in the office. So we're going to teach them what they need to do for flow. You have an office flow. They'll come in, they'll check in, they'll sit down in their waiting room seats, or we call them hot seats. We've got wobble discs out in there. They're waiting to get adjusted. Then they're going to go do their corrective exercises. Then before they leave, we're going to grab them and we're going to show them their spinal hygiene exercises and give them a kit. And then you might even invite them to the next workshop right there. That's a great opportunity to say, hey, let's get you and your family scheduled for the next workshop. Do you have any places of business or organizations that we can come and speak at? That's a great opportunity to get referrals at that day three interaction as well. This is where spinal hygiene fits naturally into your system, naturally into your flow. So let's go through some steps. When you're implementing spinal hygiene, step one is to make sure the team understands it. Before anything, your team must understand what spinal hygiene is. if they don't understand it well, they're not going to be able to teach it. They're not going to be able to reinforce it. And should be part of your system for your team. It's a hands-off doctor system. You don't have to do a lot. Your team does it all for you. So the team must know what the range of motion stretch is and why we do it, because with our treatment in our office, we're increasing range of motion. So it's a patient responsibility to maintain that range of motion that they're getting with their adjustments. The resistance band exercise fights the most degenerative posture in the world, head forward posture. And where patients are doing that so that they can maintain what the adjustment's doing is correcting that head forward posture. The wobble disc exercise, we're getting mobility and movement and hydration in those discs. The spinal molding exercise, we're maintaining our alignment between our chiropractic adjustments. So our team doesn't have to be perfect on this. They just need to be confident that they can share this message with the patients. Step three, we use simple scripts. And that's why they need to understand it, because I don't want them memorizing these long scripts. We don't want to overcomplicate it. We just want them to understand the core message that these exercises are going to help the patients maintain alignment, motion, and strength. Three things that are extremely important for spinal health. I don't think there's a practitioner out there that would argue with me. Alignment, mobility, and strength are highly important. And this is what the Spinal Hygiene Kit does, teaches our patients to maintain those three things between their visits. And this is the overarching idea. Look, patients already understand brushing your teeth prevents tooth decay. They get that. And so now we're just telling them, look, doing these exercises at home will help maintain your spinal health and prevent spinal decay. So keep it conversational and make sure our team and ourselves, we're understanding these big picture concepts and able to talk to patients about it. Step four, daily reinforcement. We need to try to do this throughout our day. This is what we call table talk. This is where retention actually happens. And it's simple. It's like Mary comes up, lays on my table. I put my hand on her shoulder. I say, hey, Mary, how are your spinal hygiene exercises going? That's it. Simple. I do that consistently. That's powerful. I had this happen just yesterday with a couple of patients, and they're like, Doc, honestly, I'm not doing it. And so all we do is we're trying to build a habit. So this is step number 5. We simplify for compliance. Compliance is key. And if we can get patients behind this concept of daily spinal care and lifetime spinal care, we can get them engaging in their care plan and building what we call habits in their life, healthy, successful. They have enough bad habits, right? We're trying to build those good habits. So if a patient's not doing all 4 exercises every day, here's what you say. And so I said yesterday, just do 2 of them for me for now. Can you do that? Just two exercises, do some range of motion stretching every morning and spinal molding, lay on your rolls every night. Can you do that for me? And they're like, yeah, absolutely, I can do that. So I'm getting them into a habit, even if they just did one thing, lay on your molding rolls every night. Just do one thing every day. Build the habit first, then we can build on that habit. And when we build taking care of the spine as a habit in our patients' lives, that's where retention and compliance start to explode, right? So step 7, make sure we're building it into their care plans and into our systems. This is not optional. This is not random. This is scheduled. It's taught. It's reinforced. It's expected. This is part of our processes and part of our mission is teaching people how to take care of their spine and nervous system for a lifetime. It's the most important thing that they can do for their health, and it's our job. So if you're in office and you're just implementing spinal hygiene, this is what your implementation time might look like. Week 1, you're choosing your system. You're talking to your team. We're going to start doing it on day 3. You're doing a little bit of training with them, hearing them explain and teach how they're doing those spinal hygiene exercises. Week 2, we're beginning our patient delivery. Every patient, every day 3 gets that kit, gets that instruction, and we're starting to reinforce, that action, that habit. Week 3, we're improving it, right? And we're making sure it's consistently happening. We're addressing any gaps or places where it's not happening. And by the 4th week, that system becomes routine and it's just flowing inside of your office. So what does success look like? You'll know that this system is working in your office when patients are talking about it, when the light bulb goes off, when your team is reinforcing it naturally without you having to say anything, when your compliance and retention improve because overall, this is going to help grow your practice. Retention plugs the leaks of that bucket, right? It helps a practice grow more than anything else. So I want to introduce a new concept that we're going to start sharing at each coaching session. I want you to start tracking in your offices. It's time to start tracking our growth and our retention because spinal hygiene is not something you try, it's something that you install. So I created the spinal hygiene implementation scorecard. And it's super simple. All you're going to do is you're going to track this every 2 weeks. You'll write down, the fill in the blanks right here on your scorecard. Watch this. This is going to show you how spinal hygiene improves retention and what we focus on grows. Okay, so this little scorecard right here is going to help you to grow retention, which is then going to help you grow the practice as we get people into the habit of taking care of their spine and nervous system. So step number one right there where it says implementation records, these are leading indicators. And so we're going to look at back over the last 2 weeks, how many new care plans did we start? And really, we'll track this as we go over the next 2 weeks. How many new care plans did we start? And then number two, how many kits were delivered? Now, those two numbers are going to give us our spinal hygiene penetration rate percentage. And so it should be 100%, right? So every new care plan we start should get a spinal hygiene kit. So in fact, I actually fill these numbers in here. Let's say that we started 10 new care plans over the last 2 weeks. And we delivered 10 spinal hygiene kits because everybody who starts care in our office gets a kit. That's 100% spinal hygiene penetration rate. And by the way, you get a score. We circle one of those. We should always be in the green. You can see there where it says green, 90 to 100%, yellow, 75, 80, 90%, red, below 75%. So we want to be in the green. 90 to 100% of people that start care get a spinal hygiene kit. The patients trained on daily exercises, 10, because every person that gets that kit on day 3 should get trained on how to do it. So training rate percentage needs to be 100%. And those leading indicators will help us to increase what we call our lagging indicators, which is retention. These are our retention metrics. And all we're going to do is look over that last 2 weeks period of time. How many people did we convert to wellness? Now, this can be a little bit tricky because some patients don't complete their corrective care plan, but that's part of this system. That's part of the system. Every patient that gets a kit, understands spinal hygiene, is more likely to complete a corrective care plan, right? So we just write down how many wellness conversions we got over those same 2 weeks, and that gives us our estimated retention rate. That means if we converted 7 patients to wellness, our estimated retention rate is 70%. That is a practice that would grow like crazy. All right. So we're going to start slowly implementing this over our coaching calls over the next, several months. And I want us to kind of see what's it look like? What's our percentages? What's our retention metrics? How can we improve those? And I think as we're teaching people to take care of their spine better and better and better, our retention metrics are just going to continue to go up. All right. So that's all I got for you. Thanks for being on the training, and we'll talk to you soon.